And then Mr. Sumer, please come forward.
Gentlemen, good morning.
We have organized
a workshop that is about
psychological perspective.
Student relationships. Our cordial ones, our friendly ones. There can be more learning outcomes in the class, because this class is all about the students, and without the students a teacher cannot deliver. Without a student a teacher cannot render justice.
Because
to maintain this, and in order to ensure, this never means that teacher has to force
the students who have actively participated in today's workshop, I'll be inviting them. First of all, I would like Mr. Islam to come forward to the stage. And then Mr.
Teacher has to consider, and this workshop has especially been organized in order to understand, in order to explore what is the importance of it. Because we've been studying psychology, and it's very important to understand those psychological perspectives. As the slide says, once it's not the concern of a teacher, then it becomes really hard, and it pushes the students into anxiety, a sort of mental stress. Everyone like me wants to be successful,
right? And teachers are
the ones who can help you out.
We have dialogues with you.
For your assignments, for your
University engagements.
That's why we keep asking you, visit us.
The problem that you
listen and try to understand the students. It's a responsibility of the teacher
that he or she, and he who is related well with the slide is a comment
and listen to what is
going on in the new lines as well. By Mr. Sumer to speak about the psychological perspectives in teachers for relationships in an educational context.
I am Sumer. I'm really glad to be part of this panel, because teacher-student relationship is something we all experience but rarely stop to think about deeply. And when we look at it through different psychological perspectives, it becomes much more meaningful. We often hear that the connection between a teacher and a student is one of the most powerful elements that shape learning. And psychology helps us understand this relationship, how it develops, how it affects learning, and how it can be improved. So there are multiple and various psychological perspectives to explain this relationship, but due to the limited time, I'll be discussing four of the most important ones: behaviorist, cognitive, humanistic, and social-cultural perspectives. So let's start with the behaviorist perspective, shall we? According to behaviorists like B.F. Skinner, learning is shaped by punishment and reinforcement. In the classroom, this means that a teacher's response to a student's behavior can either encourage or discourage it. For example, a teacher praises a student for good work, so the student feels motivated to repeat that behavior. Similarly, consistent discipline helps shape desirable habits. So from this perspective, we understand that the relationship is based on feedback and I think reinforcement and clear expectations. So it's not just emotional, it's also behavioral. The next is cognitive perspective. According to cognitive psychologists like Jean Piaget and Jerome Brunet, see students as active thinkers, not passive learners. So as here acts as a guide who helps students process information, solve problems, and make sense of the new ideas. So the relationship is based on communication and understanding. The teacher must know how the student thinks, because when the teachers explain concepts in ways that connect the student's mental level, learning becomes meaningful and lasting. So now moving on to the humanistic perspective, which only focuses on emotions, self-esteem, and personal growth. Psychologists like Carl Rogers believe that for real learning to happen, the students must feel respected, valued, and emotionally safe. So in this perspective, the teacher-student relationship is deeply personal. A teacher is not just an instructor, but a supporter, a motivator, and sometimes even a counselor. When students feel understood and encouraged, their confidence grows, and so does their willingness to learn. So, in short, this perspective reminds that education should touch the heart, not just the mind. So now, finally, the social-cultural perspective by Lev Vygotsky emphasizes the role of society and the culture in learning. This view suggests that learning always happens in a social context, like through interaction, collaboration, or dialogue. So the teacher-student relationship becomes a partnership. Teachers act as mentors who guide the students through what Vygotsky called the zone of proximal development, helping them move from what they already know to what they can achieve with support. So culture, social classroom environment, and language, these all influence how this relationship works. So when we look at all this perspective, we see that the teacher-student relationship is both psychological and social, emotional and intellectual. It's about discipline, understanding, empathy, and cultural connection all at once. So a good teacher doesn't just deliver lessons. He kind of builds relationships that inspire learning. And psychology helps us understand why that relationship matters so much. Thank you for listening.
The speaker of the day, Mr. Sahil, to share his views about the notion, psychological perspectives on teacher-student relationship in an educational context.
Starting with the most gracious and glorious name of Allah, who is the most dignified and the owner of this universe. Well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I am drastically grateful of Professor Dr. Sir Abdullah Legari for giving us this wonderful and exceptional workshop. I think it is not just a workshop, it is a great opportunity for students like myself to reflect our ideas and express ourselves. And another thing is, I am also thankful of all of you for being present here. Now let me start from some questions. You might have wondered how the teachers of our department completely absorb the students in their lectures, and what and how the teachers comes to know which student is being attentive and concentrative and which is not, and what is the psychology behind it, and what are those techniques and methods by which a student can enhance his productivity and efficiency. Well, today the answer of all these questions, I have only one answer, which is educational psychology. Let me start from the fundamental introduction. Educational psychology is one of the branches of psychology. It deals with the learner and their behavior in relation to his education. It concerns itself with suggesting the ways and methods of improving process and products of education. As you know, that it has enhanced the connection and communication between teachers and learners. So we can say it is the service of education. Now we have some great statements and descriptions from the greatest scientists, philosophers and psychologists. One of them is B.F. Skinner. He says that it deals with the teaching and learning. After that, Lester Crow and Alice Crow. They describe it that it deals with the learning experiences of the individual from nursery class to PhD level. And after that comes the Edward Alexander. He says that it is the science of education. Then we have the last one, Hubbard Charles. He says that it deals with the learning and the life stages of the individual. Now why am I mentioning it? Because I want you to estimate the diversity of this branch. How vast and tremendous it is. Now the thing comes is, what is the use of learning educational psychology? What is the subject matter? What are those areas of applications? Why do we learn? So there are some things, because of the shortage of time, I have from my back-to-back research. The first one is in human behavior. When it comes to teachers, when it comes to learners or students, it helps them to understand each other. Sometimes we find teachers who become strict, so we keep silent. Sometimes a teacher finds that some of the students are being sluggish in the classroom, so he gives them the 5-minute break. Or sometimes teacher crack a joke to regain the activeness or energy, to rejuvenate them. So this is how educational psychology works. After that, there comes learner or student. It has highly influence on the students. Especially as a student like myself, we find thousands of problems in the classroom. Like we being sluggish, we start procrastination, we being indolent, we can't focus, we can't concentrate on the studies, we become unable to grab the lectures. So such problems that arise, educational psychology helps us to cope with it. After that comes the learning environment. Now, let me start from the very beginning about this environment. You might have wondered that from the very first day of the foundation classes, every teacher is talking about environment, everyone. Because environment matters a lot, especially in education.
My name is and today I'll be talking about the psychological perspective of the student-teacher's relationship in the educational context. This workshop is the first workshop and it is conducted by our professor Abdullah Lagari, who teaches us psychology.
Teacher-student relationship is one of the most important part of learning. From a psychological point of view, every student has different emotion, need and learning styles. When teachers understand these differences, they can create a positive and supportive classroom environment. According to psychology, every student has different emotion, need and learning styles. Psychologists like Jean Piaget and Lee Vygotsky explain that students learn better when teachers guide them with care and encouragement. Emotional support from teachers help confidence and build confidence. Also, when teachers show empathy and patience, students develop trust. This trust makes it easier for them to share problems, ask questions, and express ideas. It reduces anxiety and improves mental health, which is very important in education. In simple words, psychology teaches us that learning is not only about books and tests, but it is also about relationship, feelings, and communication. A good teacher is not just who someone gives us a knowledge, but a good teacher is someone who understands the mind and heart of the student. In conclusion, psychological perspective remind us education becomes meaningful only when teacher and student share a healthy, respectful, and emotional connection. Such relationships shape not only the student academic success, but also their life and character. Thank you so much.
I'm here to share some points about the psychological perspective and relationship between student and teacher. So thank you for sir invite me. So as you know that the psychology is the study of human mind and behavior. Sometimes we can't explain
side. And the other way, if a teacher is pressurized the students, then the students start disliking and avoiding their lectures and lost interest in learning. There is some perspective on. The first perspective is that teacher should be a role model because the teacher's attitude and behavior is directly effect on the student. So teacher must have a patience and flexible in their students which needs more support and more support.
Myself is Ali, and I am very thankful to Sir Abdullah Lagari who gave me a chance to speak in front of you. This workshop is also arranged by Professor Dr. Abdullah Lagari on educational perspective, on psychological perspective on student-teacher relationships in educational context. The teacher-student relationship plays a vital role in students' academic achievement, motivation, emotional well-being, and overall development. There are measures include like humanistic perspective, behavioral perspective, social and social cultural perspective, and also cognitive perspective. Let's talk on cognitive perspective. The cognitive perspective emphasizes on a mental process like thinking, understanding, and problem solving. Positive teacher-student relationship always non-judgmental, supportive, and like the teacher wanted to his student perform very well in his class and the overall environment in the class to maintain the learning environment. So afterward we have a behavior perspective. Behavior is shaped by reinforcement and punishment and modeling. The supportive teacher encourages desirable behavior by providing consistent feedback like positive reinforcement like praises and rewards on the student's achievement, and negative reinforcement like removal of unpleasant tasks. A teacher who models respect and enthusiasm every time fosters similar attitude in students. Like other one is also a humanistic perspective which emphasize the personal growth, empathy, and self-actualization. Like every relationship, if they are motivational relationship, like teachers motivate the student and students also motivate and perform in the every teacher's class, so that one is the humanistic perspective. And last in the social and socio-cultural, learning can occur through a social interaction and cultural context. Social interaction and cultural context including the cultural behaviors students should be aware to the teachers and teachers also aware of the student that how the student's mentality work in the class and on that topic. That's all about the educational, psychological perspective of the student-teacher relationship in educational context. Thank you.